You know, if you were like me when that Ryan Lindgren goal got called back from an offside from like 30 seconds before, you were like losing your mind. BlueTruth with myself, Brian Attard, Rangers Talk. Very excited to be with you guys again. It's been a couple of weeks. We're 5 games into the season, and they're 3-1-1. 3-0-1 in their last 4. 3-0-1 with Igor in the net. Off to a good start for sure. My buddy Paulie from New York Rangers, hashtag NYR, joined that group. Love that group. Love that interaction there. Robert Scatini, great team win. Maybe the best full 60 of the year so far. Going to try something a little different tonight, guys. I'm actually going to welcome those who want to jump on with us. The link's going to be coming in. All I need to ask you to do is just identify yourself when it asks you to. But you're going to see a link come across. I'll just post it here. Type that in. You can go off on your phone, whatever you want to do. Talk a little Rangers tonight. Got a lot to talk about. We're just 5 games in, and there's a ton to talk about with this team, as there always is. But, yeah, nice little win tonight. You know, they need to stop relying on the goaltender so much. You know, I mean, look, he's really good, but you already knew that. And you go back to the Toronto game. Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess I kind of know how Packers fans feel. Like when they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, like we're going from Henrik Lundqvist to Igor Shesterkin. And I feel like it's pretty freaking awesome. He looks unbelievable to start the season. You know, I remember we were having these discussions in the offseason about, you know, was Igor overpaid? Did we pay too much for Igor Shesterkin? I'm like, well, sure doesn't look like it right now. I'll tell you that. But yes, we'll get right into it. Again, the link is scrolling down the bottom there. If you would like to come on, feel free. Just again, I was going to ask you what your name is. I don't know all of you by face yet, so feel free. You're more than welcome. We'll talk a little Rangers tonight. Rangers get a 3-1 win against the Nashville Predators. It's their 4th road game out of 5 to start the season. And, you know, to Robert's point, maybe the best full 60 of the season. And you're right. You know, I don't think we came in thinking this was going to be an overly good defensive team, but they're playing, I mean, Toronto game aside, you know, they are apparently playing a little better defense than we thought they would. There's Mike Freese, who I happened to meet at the home opener, Sammy. Alec Cadell, shaky 3-1-1, but points we need at the end of the year. And Paulie, I agree. Your goalie does need to play good in today's game, but even Mika said it. You know, you can't have a performance like you did in Toronto and expect to win that game more often than not. So, no, I agree. He's a weapon. You know, the Rangers had that sort of weapon the entirety of the Lundqvist era, so we're used to it. and we're spoiled right now because we're getting it again in Igor Shesterkin. Knock on wood. But look, huge win. It's great to see. It's great to see Lafreniere scoring now in 2 out of 3 games. Him getting it together. I didn't think we'd be 5 games in, and Mika would have 1 goal, and Panarin would have 1 goal, and Chris Kreider would lead the team with 3. This really wasn't the mix I think we were thinking. I'm gonna put this banner up here, just in case anybody would like to. If you want to come on again, just type in that link. It's pretty easy. We've had some, as part of Sportsbox Network, we've had some really, nice guests on. It's super easy. So if you want to, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, just throw your name in there when I ask you to, so I know who the hell I'm talking to. But yeah, guys, listen, 3-1-1 in the first 5. I had the pleasure of going to the home opener. It was great being back. I think I counted 590 days between games I had gone to. It was awesome being there. I love being there. Like, there's nothing like being there to me. I happened to get access to the Chase Lounge, which was kind of fun. If you guys go to Ranger games, look into that. It's a really cool experience. But I want to just kind of touch on the games as we've gone through. All of us were up in arms following the Capitals loss, but you think back to that game. I know it feels like an eon ago, 2 weeks or so, a week and a half, and I wasn't a fan of starting Georgiev in the opener. I wasn't a fan of the line. I mean, I think that the Rangers went in there looking for a fight, and then Washington just didn't comply. Like, Washington did not give them anything. I mean, it never even materialized, and then they just kept putting goals up. So, I throw that out. I don't even care at this point. Julian Narduzzi, happy they won in regulation. Yes, absolutely. Chris Reistetter, nice to see all the lines producing. And it's wild that you say that, Chris, because, again, they have some major injuries right now. With Kakko missing time, although everything you hear is that he should be back when they get back home, hopefully in a couple of days. And then Strome with the COVID thing, hopefully that, fixes itself. But listen, I mean, coming into these games without 2 top 6 forwards, and to win them the way that they have, you have to feel good about that. Paul, I didn't see Wilson throw 1 hit that night. No, I hear you, but I think that the Rangers came into that game literally looking to get in somebody's face, like looking to get into that knockdown, drag out type of not. If you remember, Paulie, I went to the game in 2012 when the Devils came in, and you had that 3 fights to start. I think it was Stu Bickle, Brandon Prust, and the third one's escaping me right now. But it was just 3 fights to start the game. And I felt like the Rangers were preparing themselves for a nationally televised game where the story of the offseason, everything they did was all about, the incident from last year. So, again, if you're watching the show live on Facebook or Twitter, you can go ahead and go to that link. If you'd like to come on, talk Rangers with me, you're more than welcome to. If you're watching the YouTube replay, obviously you can't come on live, but you're welcome to come on live in the future when we do some of these post games. I've been trying to get trying to get a show to come talk to you guys, but I happen to go to the home opener last Thursday, and Thursday tends to be an easier night for me in most cases, so I like to make use of it. And they happen to have a game again tonight, so I figure out. We'll do a little post game. Lafreniere is talking right now. Yeah. So the Washington game aside, I'm not even gonna worry about that. And Paulie says they dressed a heavy lineup and again and it's funny, Paul, if you remember that game, like they came out guns blazing. I mean, if you look at some of the advanced stats, they had a bunch of expected goals or a huge lead in shots at least to start the game, and then they kind of once that wore off, they kind of didn't really do a whole lot after that. So again, that was an easy loss to forget. You were playing again the next night. You were on a road game, somebody else's opening night. Neither here nor there. The Dallas game, having been there for the Rod Gilbert ceremony, and obviously the opening night with the introductions, a very lackluster first period. I think once they got their shit in gear in the second and third, they played a lot better after that. And Braden Holtby, who's been a Ranger killer going back to Washington days, he really played a phenomenal game that night. Kako hit a post. I look at that. Look, am I upset that they lost? I mean, we don't want to necessarily see them lose unless you're having a tank year, unless it's really a tank year. But I think that the goaltending stole Dallas a game in the home opener. But they got their first point and they haven't lost since. You go to Montreal, a building where it's been the house of horrors for you throughout the years, and found a way to get a win there. Lafreniere with the game winner. The Toronto game, though, I think they can't have that. I mean, if you're going to be going up against the big boys in the Eastern Conference, you can't have that sort of performance. There's Mike Freeze. The Islanders lost. Wow. So they lost to they did. Bunch of losers. They lost to the Blue Jackets. Patrick Laine with the OT winner. Good. Screw you. It's wonderful. I had as I mentioned, I had the opportunity to meet Mike at the home opener. I had a chance to hang out with some people I haven't seen in forever. Frankie Bahada from my Maltese Ranger fan group. He was. I went up, saw some of the took some pictures. It was great. I don't know if those of you who take New Jersey Transit to the Garden, I do because I live in this godforsaken state. And as soon as the Ranger game ended, there were power line problems and there was 2-hour delays getting out of Madison Square Garden, out of Penn Station. So, mind you, I had to drive 2 hours to Secaucus and then take the train, which isn't really that bad. But I didn't get back into New Jersey until about 10 after 12. I didn't get to bed until about 3 a.m. with everything, but it's whatever. It was worth it. I enjoyed going. I got a chance to, go with Scott Spector to that game and people in 115 who I love. And it was, even though that they lost, it was just so great being back. It was just so great being back in the building and everything that comes around with it, that just the everything. But Mike will attest to it. Mike sat one section over from me. It was despite the loss, it was a lot of fun. Sean Mello, this team will get even better once they gain more chemistry. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Listen, they haven't won pretty, right? But here they are. So Robert says Journal Square to Penn is the way. I don't know what Journal Square is, but I'm obviously interested in listening to it. Normally, I'll either drive to Hamilton, take the long train, or I'll drive up to Secaucus, take the short train. I figured in a COVID world, the less time I spend on a train with a mask on my face, probably the better off for me. So I decided to drive a little further than I normally do. But, had there not been a massive power outage, then things would have been just fine. Although I had a chance to get off the train, meet some friends for some beers. I met with Frankie. I ran into Sean Stein from Two Guys, One Cup podcast. He's like, "Hey, Brian." I'm like, "I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you?" And he said, "Oh, that's right. That's right." It was just kind of funny. Xavier says the PATH train. Where is that even? I don't even know where that lets you off. Where's that even let you off? Hoboken? I don't want to go to Hoboken. But anyway, Paulie, I know you want to talk about it, so I do want to talk about it. So, obviously the dark cloud hanging over the team so far is the whole Vitali Kravtsov story. It's, who do you blame for where we are and where do you go from here? I know that the inclination is to, blame the kid. If we think back to the whole thing with Lias, it had a lot of similarities to it, for better or for worse. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Sure. And there's a Julian asking also about the Krause situation. Him and Drury just like each other from their time in Hartford. Well, here's the thing. So Forever Blue Shirts reported that Kravtsov wanted the third line role, which is currently held by Dryden Hunt. And if there was one roster decision that I thought made absolutely no sense whatsoever, it was putting Dryden Hunt on your third line and not having Kravtsov start with the team. Is it something with Drury? I don't know, but you can't do that. If you've got history with somebody, I think And I think over the course of the offseason, he kind of thought that Drury getting the job was going to result in him getting traded. And everything that we talked about all offseason, especially on this show, was, oh, well, they're going to, go get Jack Eichel and Kravtsov will be part of the deal. Do you not want to do it? Do you want to do it? And he probably thought he was going to go. And then he didn't go. So that was probably, a bit there. But look, this is now going to be, assuming this goes the way that it looks like it's going to go, because I everything that you hear is, Gallant called him in Russia, like he basically took his ball and went home. So, I don't, it doesn't make you all warm and fuzzy. I'll put it to you that way. So if he ends up getting shipped out, that's going to be the second top 10 pick in a number of years, actually 2 top 10 picks in 2 consecutive drafts that don't end up playing for your team, not because they bust, but because they could bust somewhere else, but that it just didn't work out here. And I got to tell you something else. Regardless of the way that this has gone, I will take Vitali Kravtsov 100 times out of 100. I don't want to hear about this Oliver Wahlstrom nonsense. Don't be revisionist history. But what I would say to you is my drafts, for me, I will always want to draft the highest upside guy that I can, because I can go find second and third line players. Elite talent is what you can't go replicate and what costs you out the ass to go try to in a deal. So I don't care if he never plays a game in a Ranger jersey again. If they trade him for a bag of peanuts, I don't care. I am perfectly fine with the mentality of taking the highest upside guy every single time. Get me guys that can be difference makers, or don't waste your time. That's why I hated the Anderson pick so much, because if you remember, they were all about, Lias, he can step into our third line. The hell are you drafting guys step into your third line for? That's what you're drafting guys for at 7 overall. So, regardless of how this ends up shaking down, whatever they get for him. And I will say that I think the team has the negotiation power here. They can just let him sit. They're under no impetus to go move him quickly. I don't know when's his con. They could even give him a qualifying offer. They can really hold his rights, frankly, as long as they want to. And if I go look at the Rangers salary cap, which is getting tighter, I might tell you, Kravtsov, where are you? Kravtsov, he has one more year this year, and then he goes to RFA. So who knows? Paulie says, got to be the players' defensive roles. Gallant feels more comfortable with Hunt, I'm guessing. Defensively with Hunt. Robert Scatini, Kravtsov came out of camp out of shape. It was a conditioning assignment. It's his fault. Well, if you remember, they really upended their European scouting in the offseason. And I think there may have been some promises made to Kravtsov that mouth wrote a check that the ass couldn't cash as far as when he was going to get a spot. I still think he should have gotten the spot. I think you work through those things. We can disagree on this, guys. I don't think that you need to employ a free agent third line, fourth line guy in your bottom 6 over a guy you took 9th overall. I think you see that through as best you can. And he looked good in the preseason when he played. We can disagree on that, and that's fine. I'm not saying that I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but the fact that Kravtsov is probably not going to be a part of this wonderful future we were building, and all this, we had all this talk on the show in the offseason. Oh, we're going to have 6 first-round picks in the opening night lineup, and then Lundqvist didn't even get the spot, and then Kravtsov blows up. So that did not materialize. It is what it is. Julian, I think the Rangers could get Riley Smith or Dylan Strome as an option at center, possibly. Dylan Strome, I wouldn't be upset about, but then it depends where you start putting these guys. Right now, barring injury, they have their 3 centers in Zibanejad. When I'm going to talk about the contract tonight, we'll do a different day. Ryan Strome and Hedel. So it's weird. Like we always talk about, the need to go get a center, and trust me, they do longer term. But for the team right now, they don't. They have the cap space for this year, which they're going to use next year. Paulie, I like Smith. There was some talk of you're referring to Riley Smith. There was some talk of them sending Strome to Vegas for Riley Smith if something were to happen with Jack Eichel, and then you would have those two centers, and obviously Strome wouldn't take a spot. Peter with a long comment is going to take a lot of the screen. I do want to read this. So should have said his mouth thing gone down. The real blame is on Rangers management. They went against the odds and passed on Wallstrom. They did Kravs. Kravs gives us that third line scoring without Kravs. Heedle's game suffers with Blay on that line. That's a great third. Goodrow, Hunt, whose game I like, are fourth liners with Rooney and alternate Revo, who shouldn't play more than 45 games. If anybody thinks Kravs didn't make this team, you don't know what you're watching. No, I agree, Peter. Where I'll disagree with you is I would not have taken Oliver Wallstrom. I honestly would not have. I will tell you that I think we will agree from a pure talent perspective and a ceiling perspective, Kravtsov has the ability and the talent to be an elite player, whereas Wallstrom's a middle six guy. Wallstrom's not a first line center, a first line winger on a good team. So I don't want to draft guys to play in my middle six. I want to draft guys that have ceilings to play on my top line and my top pair. If that's not what you can be, dude, swings. Aim for the fence or strike out. I don't care. I can go get guys. The Rangers are the Rangers. I know there's a salary cap. You can go get players like an Oliver Wallstrom. You can go get middle six wingers. So I aim for home runs. Don't aim for singles when you're trying to draft, especially not where that you can go get those guys. So again, I have the only issue that I had with Kravtsov is I think the Rangers thought very highly of him, at least at that time. I think I remember them saying that they had him behind Svechnikov in that draft, which would have been over a guy like Zadina, who I would have preferred. But look, neither here nor there. If this doesn't pan out, I hope they get the most out of the deal. I was never against moving Kravtsov in the right trade to address their center hole. So maybe this whole thing ends up with them doing that. Because again, we talk about all these wingers that they have in Kakko and Lafreniere, and now they drafted Brennan Othman, and Will Cooley's going to need a spot. So it's like, it's not as if like this is going to derail anything. It sucks because I think Kravtsov's going to be a player. He's got size, prototypical power forward type guy to me. He's not going to do it here, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. I was never opposed to trading him. So if they end up using Kravtsov to fill some center depth problems in the organization, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. It sucks, but it is what it is. Peter said. There you go, Bo. See, we're on the same page. Savior, having Gauthier and Hunt on this team ahead of Kravtsov's a sin. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. So then you start talking about, well, why didn't he? Who made the team over him? Gauthier? Hayek? I mean, I don't know. That part just pisses me off because there's no need for it. There is no need for it. Robert Scatini, the guy had to go. Robert, I hear you, right? But I think that he just felt he was getting dicked around again because he was probably told 2 years ago that when he came over from Russia, he'd get a spot. And then he didn't. He babied it. I'm not saying he didn't. Went back to Russia. He used the out clause, which frankly, let's be fair, he was well within his right to use a clause he negotiated in his contract that he could go back to Russia if he didn't make the pro team. And then Drury says, oh, you're quitting on the team. Well, okay. Great. Don't negotiate. Don't give them the out then. Don't give him a way to get out if you don't want him to get out. But he negotiated that. Then he comes back, plays last year, gets some games. And again, the story I heard today was that he was looking forward to playing on the third line with Heedle and Goodrow. And that's what I thought we were going to see. And that's not what happened. So, Matthew Rose, I want to go back to just trading our draft. Hey, listen, we're not that far away from that. This is the end of rebuilding, so we're not that far away from that. He's one phone call away from getting a spot. No, I agree. But if he believes that Drury's just dicking him around, then I understand why he would be this way. I would not handle myself this way. I'm almost not a professional hockey player. I'd be happy to be there. again, people these days are built differently than they were, years ago. So if they think they have this ability to hold out, then they're going to do that. The Rangers do not need to move him immediately. So I don't think that they should. So I think that this may not. Could it be resolved? Like, could it be rectified? I would hope so. To Matt DeRosa's question, is there any chance he comes back? I mean, until he's off the team, I think there's always that chance, especially if they don't move him quickly and he gets antsy and wants to play in the NHL. Because right now, the team has his contract. Again, he's an RFA. They can match. They can match as long as they qualify him. They can match. They can continue to have his rights. So we'll see where it goes. Peter says, how come other teams don't have probably young players like our management does? Well, okay, so Lias was a bad draft pick. Period. Lias was a pick that they were just trying to fill their third line center role. Hated it. Thank God at least they got Hedel in the second pick. D'Angelo is his own head case, his own problems. I know the family. It is what it is. That's his doing. He did that. Nothing the team really did there. There's no problem with Kakko and Lafreniere to me. I'm fine. I'm good there. But I agree with you. I think Kravtsov's going to be a player, which is why I figured he'd be the centerpiece to a Jack Eichel deal that never materialized. So again, if you are just catching it, you are welcome to join tonight's stream. Talk a little post game as the Rangers with a 3-1 win over the Nashville Predators. Just type that address in. It's very, very simple. You're welcome to come on. You are not required to, but I'm opening it up tonight because it is post game and everybody's watching. So if you would like to, you're more than welcome. It'll let me know that you're here, and I will take care from that end. But I do want to hear from you guys, even if you don't want to come on the live stream, just in your comments as to where you are 5 games in, because yeah, they haven't won pretty, but they've won. They're 3-0-1 with Igor in the net. Just blow out the Washington game. That was always going to be a sideshow and a circus. Didn't matter. Since then, I thought they played very well against Dallas and just they got robbed. I thought Holtby had a great game. And if you remember the overtime goal in that one that Igor, let in, it was right in front of my face. He said, I got to make that stop. And maybe he used that as motivation to, play as well as he has moving forward. I mean, look, he's allowed 1 goal a game in his last 3 games. And tonight's was kind of stupid. So since that overtime goal where he thought he should have had it, he's allowing 1 goal a game. You can go place in this league if that's the case. Chris Reistetter, don't care about pretty wins, have to win the ugly ones, which we have so far. Listen, a win's a win. And this division looks like it's going to get pretty tight here. So no matter where they are, all these points are going to help them. So, I can tell you right now, so we'll probably get together again after the next 5, probably skip next week. But their next 5 games are at Ottawa. They get Calgary at home. They get Columbus at home. Then they go to Seattle for Halloween night. Then they go to Vancouver on November the 2nd. Oh God. So the Canadian trip comes quick this year. So Tuesday, November 2nd through Saturday, that weekend's going to be some Western Canada late games. Lafigo was pretty though. That it was. Matt DeRosa. Here's where you and I are going to disagree, right? So I love out hitting our opponents. We haven't seen that in a while. Okay. Sam Rosen actually had this epiphany in the Boston preseason game. The problem when you are out hitting your opponents, if you are to register a hit, that means you don't have the puck and the other team does. And if you're consistently out hitting the other team, then more times than not, they're going to have the puck more than you. And if they have the puck, they can score and you can't. I am not against physical play by any stretch, but if you are possessing the puck more, you're hitting less because you don't have to. Paul See, Paulie's in here, man. Paulie's like in my head. He knows what's coming. Hitting causes turnovers, but if you have the puck, it doesn't matter. If you possess the puck, then you can turn it over, not them. You're not trying to get the puck turned over to you. It's just possession numbers. Like if you go and look at the teams that win Stanley Cups, like those teams possess the puck a lot more than their opposition does, and then they can do things. If I don't have the puck, I can't score on you. It just, again, I'm not opposed to them having the ability to play that kind of a game. But if you're consistently in a game where you're getting outshot, where you're getting outchanced, and you're out hitting, I don't know that that's a recipe for success. I haven't looked at their advanced stats this year. I can tell you the Toronto game was very ugly without me even looking at it. Third line is going to be good. Being physical team is going to work out well for us. Again, I don't want to misconstrue what I'm trying to say. You can be a physical team, but if you have the puck, you're not hitting the other team. You can be prepared to, but doesn't mean that you do. Well, Goodrow and Lafreniere. So Lafreniere's got a goal in 2 of 3. So that's good. I thought that the goal in Montreal would actually kind of light a fire under his ass a little bit. So that's good, because there was he looked kind of lost, I think, early on in the year, but he's figuring it out now. Goodrow scored the empty netter tonight, so good for him. I still think they're going to regret that contract sooner than later, and he probably makes a little too much money, but he serves a role. I'd prefer that role be on the fourth line, but it is what it is. They went a different direction in their bottom 6. Puck possession is important if you get quality shots on goal. Rangers have puck possession on their power play. It amounts to a limp 2 minutes by and large. Well, everybody has puck possession on their power play, Alex. So it's not as if that's not. I mean, if you're not generating puck control when you have the power play, then really you should pack it in. I understand what you're saying, but at 5-on-5 is if you have the puck more than the other team, then they're trying to hit you. So again, to Paulie's point, if that leads to turnovers, great, and I hope that it does. I mean, look, I've frankly been pleasantly surprised with Sammy Blais, taking some dumb fucking penalties, but neither here nor there. He's playing a role that I don't think that they've had. Maybe we'll get over trading Buchnevich in due time. Maybe not. But I think, I like where his game is going. I'm mildly surprised, though, that I haven't seen, Ryan Reeves go fight somebody. Not because I'm, great, go fight somebody, but you were kind of brought here to do that. Be a deterrent. I mean, probably you should go punch somebody in the face so people, feel like they're deterred. To Chris's point, I like you're sticking up for each other more. I don't disagree with that at all. My hope was that, the players with the skill start to do that as well, but that didn't materialize. There have been some soft calls. Yeah, I will agree there. And I don't know, Paulie, I think we talked about this last year. Whenever the season starts, I think that everything's called a little more tight because they're trying to set the tone for the rest of the season. So they really try to tighten up some of the calls that maybe you'll get a call now that you won't get in February, because now it's where they're trying to, lay it down so, they can prepare for later. But now listen, I like what I've seen from Sammy Blais, and I walked into the season saying I was concerned that was the net result of a Buchnevich trade. But look, he's suspended for headbutting. I wish him the best. I like what Sammy Blais bringing to this team. The question that I have for you guys, and my early thoughts on Gerard Gallant, is I have no major complaints. I didn't like starting the backup goal in the first game of the year. And not necessarily that Igor may have made a huge difference in that game, because I don't think Georgiev was bad, but he wasn't the problem, but he wasn't a solution either, if that makes any sense. If you look at the Toronto game, the Toronto game could have been very much like the Washington game, but Igor shut it down. We've seen that from 2006 on, where Ranger goaltending shuts it down. We've been very lucky. Maybe we're getting lucky again with Igor, but That's what I'm saying. I didn't like that move. I didn't like the starting Jared Tenorti in Washington. I didn't like the heavy lineup. Like, I just think at some point it's overkill. But I hope they got it all out of their system and now they want to play, regular Ranger hockey. The part that to me I'm still trying to understand is not necessarily that I dislike Sammy Blais or that Dryden Hunt pisses me off because he's taking Kravtsov's spot, but why they're getting power play time. I'm hoping it's because people are injured or not playing, and that's why. Dryden Hunt is not somebody who, at first blush, I would say should be on my power play. I don't think that's a controversial statement either. I think it's like, this is not power play guy. Blais got probably more skill than we give him credit for. But you have too much elite talent on this team for Dryden Hunt and Sammy Blais to be on your power play. No insult intended to either of them. Alec, I hear you. We have the puck. I'm glad we hit them. We've generally stopped backing in and surrendering the blue line. No, I get it. I get it. I'm not opposed to the hits being close. I think if you're really out hitting the other team, then it becomes like you're chasing them. So they play again Saturday afternoon, 1:00 in Ottawa, and then next week they got 2 home games: Monday against Calgary, Friday against Columbus. Like I said, we'll probably get together again next the Thursday, the 4th of November, because it'll be another 5 games we can plug, or maybe we'll see. We'll see if I'm bored. Julian says reffing's worse than last year, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, I do think, though, like I said, I think that'll fix itself a little bit. I think as they kind of get through October, November, then they're not going to feel the pressure from the league to call every little thing, because then they're not trying to, again, set expectations for the rest of the season. Paulie loves Sammy's game. We haven't seen Igor play like us up until now. I think he's had his spurts, but I think that if you remember back to the 10-2 start before the car accident 2 years ago, that he was very good, obviously very good. But then shit happened the way that it did last year. And I always have these conversations too with, like, why can't Lafreniere do this and Kakko do that? This is Kakko's going to be Kakko's first full season, Lafreniere's first full season. I look at last year and I just don't care, because that's not real. You're playing the same 7 teams. You're not going anywhere. There's nobody in the buildings. Just stop. Like last year just didn't matter. Just like erase it from your head. Pull out the chip and drop it. Nobody cares about last year. I mean, well, I don't care about last year. Maybe you care. I personally don't care. Chris Rice said, I like the fact he's not afraid to play any line at the end of games. I mean, yeah, they'll be more balanced, I think, in that way. Yeah. I like everybody wants to. Paulie, how many things did we read last year about Lafreniere on this, struggling and like points per game versus other number 1 picks, so on and so forth. People have the audacity to compare last year in that environment with empty arenas and no training camp and all of it to years before because they want to write something. I think it's the most ridiculous stuff last year, and it was just stupid. It was dumb. Dumb. Robert, I like to see them switch to Banajan and Panarin on the power plays. D to the point, bread for the OV one timer. Blais belongs in the second as the guy in front. Kreider's well. I can kind of see that. All right. Sorry, you're selling me on that. I can buy. I am buying what you are selling if that's what he is going to do. I really actually like, and I know it hasn't really like taken off yet. I like Nils Lundqvist as quarterback in that second power play, though, because that's going to be his role. So, again, kid's made to the league. He's played 5 pro games. So I think it'll get there for him. But I like that they're giving him that role off the jump. Again, friendly reminder, if you would like to come on the show, again, no obligation, but I'm here. I'm happy to talk hockey with you. I enjoy the interaction. So you're welcome to just plug that link in and jump on if you would like to. But overall, I mean, they're not they're not lighting the world on fire offensively. They've obviously scored no more than 3 goals in a game so far, but that's okay. You have a new coach, new systems, and I know that it's supposed to be simplified systems, but there's really nothing that I'm overly concerned about. I wasn't concerned the night of the Washington game. Like, I think that that's fine. So, you've won 3 straight on the road trip. You should beat Ottawa. You really, they really should win quite a few of these games upcoming if you look at the upcoming schedule. Alec agreed on Nils. He's willing to shoot and get shots through. He could teach Trouba a few things. Yeah, Trouba's going to be a problem. Trouba's going to be a contractual problem. Their next. All right, so guys, their next couple games here, right? So, Ottawa, Calgary, Columbus, Seattle, Vancouver. I mean, you got to go 4-1 there, right? You got to go at least go 3-3. 4-0-1. Mike will be there Monday. Mike, hey, anybody wants, if you're a Chase card holder, look this up online, but get into that Chase lounge. It's free and they give you snacks and stuff. It was pretty cool. So Stefan Matteau was in there yesterday. Home opener when I was there. It was really cool. I've already reserved it for every game I'm going to. My next visit to the Garden is November the 8th against Florida. Me and my buddy Scott will be there. So that'll be cool. I got 9 games left this year. I'll be there for Henrik Knight. Wasn't gonna miss that. I'll make money. But yeah, I mean, it was. I'm looking forward to that. So really cool that you're going to be there for the Calgary game. But they should get some wins here. Peter says 4-1 in the next 5. Yeah, I mean, they have an opportunity here again. We talked about this part of the offseason is like you're not going to keep playing the same Metro teams all the time. So they're not going to be these nuclear wars that you were used to last year, which really helps the Rangers, I think, how they're built, even though they're a little more gritty, this year compared to last. They have a chance here to really, put something. Their really next real hard game is probably at Edmonton, Friday, November 5th. They go to Calgary again after that, but then they got Florida at home, which is the game I'm going to. Florida's good. Florida's real good. Florida's real good. But yeah, I mean, look, again, expectations are they should be winning 7 out of the next 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I think the Rangers should win 7 of their next 10. Give me 15 points out of the next 20. I think I'm good. And I really don't think I'm a homer when I say that. Like, I think the schedule's set nicely for them to do that. Julian, Calgary's a dumpster fire. Things are not crack-a-lacking for the Kraken, and Columbus might be a challenge. Now, Columbus stinks. They stink. I know they beat the Islanders. That's not really an accomplishment right now. The Islanders started off the season allowing 5.5 goals a game in their first 2. Woe is me. I'll cry for that one. But yeah, they should beat Ottawa on Saturday. We'll see if they do or not. But I mean, that's only going to be so. Really, they only have 3 home games in the month of October versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 road games. So I mean, again, you're going to have your home games coming up later in the year. But all in all, guys, I think we're all happy right now. Again, what's that? 7 points out of possible 10 to start the year. It's fine. I've already forgotten they lost to Washington. They were never going to sweep Washington this year, so let them have the win. I have nothing else on my agenda for the evening, so I will hang around for at least a little bit here. If you guys have any questions you want to go over, I'm here. Anybody want to pop on, you're welcome to. But overall, I'm pleased. It sounds like from your guys' comments, you're mostly pleased. I do think the power play needs to really figure it out. And I think that, you really need more out of your stars. Like I said, I mean, Mika and Panarin have combined for 2 goals in 5 games. I don't think that that's a formula that this team's going to be successful with. So hopefully they get there. Mika should have more goals than Kevin Rooney. Matt, do we know when Strome's coming back? I'm pretty sure the way that what I've heard is he could be back for the weekend. It's just COVID protocol. So, I mean, I would assume that if he's not here, he's not in the lineup for Ottawa, he will be in the lineup for Calgary next Monday. But I think Ottawa's probably a good expectation to bring him back. And then if not, you're looking at that Calgary game. But yeah, I mean, look, right now, if things can, do I think Tampa gets Eichel, then add Kucherov again for the playoffs? No. I don't think they have the horses to get Eichel. Their system is really bare, Chris, and they've moved a lot of their picks and stuff. I don't think they would do that. It would just, first of all, the league would probably get really, really pissed about it. But I also don't think that Kucherov's going to be out long term. A month or two, yes, but I don't think everything that I've heard is like he's getting ready for the Olympics in January or February or whatever. He'll be back this season. He's not good. It's not going to be a situation where Kucherov has to wait till the playoffs. I'm going to put this up too. I always bring this up because I'm the Facebook algorithm is a bitch, and it's nice when streams like this get more likes, interaction, which you guys are awesome with your comments. I really appreciate that. But the more you can like the show, the more Facebook will pick it up, and the more it'll get out there in the Facebook algorithm. But that's really all I had tonight. I hadn't, like I said, I was trying to get a show together, and the way the schedule laid itself out, it was tough to do. So I figured, you know what, let's do some post game. Hopefully they win, and they did. Nice 3-1 win over Nashville. Rangers 3-1-1 in their first 5, and everybody is happy. Peter, would you like Strome's brother on this team? I don't. Price dependent. I mean, he was a 3rd overall pick, so price dependent. What's it going to cost me? Like, is that a Kravtsov deal? I'd be fine with that because I don't know what I don't. That's the sort. Like I said, if they end up moving Kravtsov to address longer term center depth, I'm cool with that. Robert, best start in a while. Didn't make the playoffs last year because of a rough start, right? Yep. So good to be here. Journal Square is in Jersey City, so check it out for the Florida game. Path train parking's like $11, $250 to ride the train. So what I've been doing is I've been driving to Secaucus. Parking was, I think, $14. It was like $4 to go over, but it's Penn Station, so it gets you off right there. I will look into that. But like I said, as long as the trains work, it's fine. It's just when the trains don't work. So, but I will look into that for the Florida game. But I don't drive into New York. I will never drive into New York. I've driven through New York because I had to get to like White Plains and places north of there. Not my thing. It is so much easier to just walk up the stairs, off the train, up the stairs, and you're there. That's great. And I will tell you guys, if you are this is just, I'm just giving this to you as news. The getting into the Garden, if you've got the COVID thing, the vaccine, it's cake. You just show it to them and they let you right in. So again, not having a discussion on pro or con. I'm just saying if you're going to games, you have to have it. That's what they're doing. It is easy to get in if you got the Docket app. Peter, if they get a center, would you move Hedl to wing? I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. But I will say I'm actually pretty happy with his play so far this year. That makes me a little less concerned if Strome can't be brought back. My bigger concern right now, Peter, if we're talking about the centers, frankly, and we're not going to get into Mika's contract because I think I beat that to death over the summer. I will tell you that it still scares the hell out of me. 8 years for anybody at that age scares the hell out of me. But Panarin, he's like this with Strome now. Because I miss Stromer. So are we going to see a situation where the Rangers pay Strome to stay because Panarin wants him to? At this point, you really can't rule that out. I'm not opposed to Hedl playing the wing at all. I think Hedl can do either. So, Mike Epstein, what's the captain situation? Well, Mike, it's like my report card. All A's and no C's. Which is stupid because all summer, if I was a betting man, I'm sure we'll have a captain. And then we're having deep conversations around, is it going to be Trouba or Kreider or who's it going to be? And then they don't even do it. that says to me, if you want my honest opinion, which you know I'm always going to give to you, they're holding it for Fox. They're holding it now for Fox to sign a contract, which he will. And I'll tell you, if you're negotiating, I mean, we're all Ranger fans, right? So if you want to start pulling some heartstrings to a Ranger fan on the Rangers, say, listen, haven't you always wanted to be the captain of the Rangers? Sign this below market contract. We'll make that happen for you. So I think that all the talk that we were talking about, are they holding the C for Mika's contract? Probably now means they're holding it for Fox's contract. And I'm fine with that. Negotiate that. Because I am now very concerned. If you look at the market, McAvoy signs 8 by 9.5. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's not his second contract, so it's not a pure comparable, but look, I this time last year or whenever it was, I probably would have thought, hey, could the Rangers get him around $7 million? And then the defense market just blew up. I don't see any scenario that he signs for less than 9. If they get him 8 years, $9 million, I'm fine. I at this point, he's probably worth 15. I mean, he is worth the price of admission. He is the single most important player to this team, more so than the goaltender. He's Brian Leetch. He's Brian Leetch. I saw Brian Leetch play. He's Brian Leetch. So cerebral. He just gets it. The things that he does, love him. I mean, it's. I said this over the summer. He is everything Kevin Shattenkirk was supposed to be. The Ranger fan who got who made his way to get to the team and just flourished. You don't get in trouble in hockey or sports paying for greatness. You get in trouble for paying for mediocrity. Nobody complains about Panarin's contract. Who do we complain about? Kreider and Trouba, not Panarin, and Panarin makes the most money. So think about that. Like, you don't get totally beat up. I mean, look, Toronto's got problems because they can't get out of the first round, but would you rather not have William Nylander and Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner? John Tavares, we can have the discussion about. I think that was probably what their mistake was, but what are you supposed to do? Should you not have elite talent on your team because you don't want to pay them? No, that's ridiculous. So whatever Fox gets, he's worth. But they really would serve themselves better to keep it at 9. If they can get him for 9, I'm probably just, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. The only thing, I don't know that I would bridge him. I don't know that I would bridge him. Because then, what's that cap going to be? I mean, my God, I don't want to do that either. What would it be then? I don't think you can. No. Honestly, if it's $9 million, I'll do the 8th year. I don't care. I want him as long as possible. I at that point, maybe adding term. I don't know. I take him forever. Fox, my next jersey. I have one. My goal this year was to wear a different jersey to every game, so I've worn my Fox. I got 3 Lafrenières and 2 Kakos. I got to break out. I would have laughed at but now he ended up being as good, if not better. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's crazy to think about it, right? But tell me I'm wrong, Peter. You watch the same game I do. I mean, the things he does on the ice is just phenomenal. I do work in finance. I am. That's, yeah. I do work with the dollar bills. Peter, bridge will be a big mistake. I don't disagree with you. Where the only rationale I could come up with is that the cap will be higher after the bridge, because at some point the ESPN money and the TNT money and all of this, like, it is going to make its way into the salary cap. The Rangers needed to be done yesterday, but global pandemic, who saw it coming? And that's where I get with people that, like, look, you want to bash Trouba's contract? Go ahead. Right. But you sign that contract assuming the cap will go up and it's less of an issue. That didn't happen. It didn't happen for everybody, not just us. Robert, Fox is true blue. There's no way you grow up a Rangers fan and give Chris Drury when you're a hard time about dollars. No, I agree. I mean, but at the same time, Robert, I mean, they're not going to, you're not going to get him for a sweetheart deal. He's worth what he's worth. He's again, if he's worth 10.5 or 11 on the open market, he'll probably take 9 to stay. And he has to know too that like if he wants to win in New York, if he wants to be Adam Fox, come get the Stanley Cup, then he needs to know that it's a salary cap and they want to keep the team together. If they get him under 9, I'm 6 to midnight, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think 9's the number. 9 to 9.5 is probably the number. I think we all need to be okay with that. Because you don't get beat up. You don't get beat up paying for elite talent. Should Edmonton not pay Connor McDavid? Of course not. Nobody would say that. The problem here is that defensemen who are nowhere near Adam Fox are getting ridiculous dollars, right? Seth Jones's deal is a total disaster for Chicago. Mark my words, that is a complete disaster, and he already looks terrible. All that capital and all that money. Don't see it. Drew will pay him. What choice does he have? If you're listen, I've said on the show the 4 best things that Jeff Gorton ever did, my son could have done. Win 2 lotteries with ping pong balls. You had nothing to do with it. Panarin was always coming there. Fox was always coming there. Where was your best thing Jeff Gorton ever did? Trade for Mika. Everything else kind of, it is what it is. 9 for 8 we would be so lucky. 8 years, 72. I could see it. But they need to get that done like now though. Like we don't need this to go on in the offseason. Like get it done by Christmas. Like get it done. Don't even worry about it. Just get it done. Yes, he does. Seth Jones stinks. All right, so we will wrap this up for the night. Again, I'm happy with the win. You're all happy with the win. We're happy with the start. I'm happy with the start. I think there's going to be a couple more wins here in a row, so good. I'm sure we'll all get together in 2 weeks and complain the power play still not doing well, and Panarin better start scoring some goals, and Mika can do a couple things, But again, they are 3-1-1 in their first 5. We will take that. So again, hey, thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. Always appreciate the interaction with you guys. Always love talking Rangers. I mean, what else is there to do? Right? So this is what binds us all together is the love of this hockey team and the abusive relationship we've had with this hockey team. So I appreciate that, Peter. Thank you very much. Again, we'll see about next week. If anything big happens, we'll talk about it. But if not, we'll probably plan to do something else again, November the 4th. Give it some more games. We'll see how they do in the middle of that Canadian trip. Again, they should be. The schedule, they're hitting the deck, if you want to use a blackjack term, right? They're hitting the deck right now with the games that they should be winning. So that's good. Mike Freese, appreciate that, brother. I don't know if you're going to games other than like I said, my next game is the Florida game, Monday the 8th. And then I go back the 28th for the Islanders game, and I hate those. Anyway. Man, I don't know how an hour just went by. I don't understand. I don't know how this time just flies. Well, anyway, we do have the ability in the future to have people on the show. So if you have some interest, I'm very easy to find on the Facebook. So reach out to me. I'm happy to have some, people on here and there, just talk here and there, but no pressure. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, that's fine. I appreciate the interaction. So on behalf of myself, the only person here, thanks so much for watching the show tonight. Let's go Rangers. Nice win, and hopefully they got a couple more in the coming weeks. Take care, everybody.